So looking at this, now we're going to look at simple interest versus compound interest. We've already talked about simple interest, which is just interest that's calculated on the principal over an amount of time. So if we looked at this first one, each year, so in year one, we're going to be doing I equals PRT. We'd get 1,000 times 0.5 times 3, or sorry, not times 3, times 1, because we're just doing 1 year, equals $50. So that would be $50. In year 2, we're doing the same thing. We're going to have 1,000 times that should be 0.5 times 1, and we get $50 again. Year 3, same thing. We earn $50 each year. Okay, so calculate the simple interest. If we were to do this over 3 years, we're going to earn, we could do it like this, I equals PRT. We have 1,000 times 0.05 times 3, and that's going to be $150. Okay, and that's pretty easy to see from each year you're earning $50, you're using that simple interest formula. Now what compound interest is it's interest calculated at regular compounding periods, and then it's added to the principal. So what we're talking about here is in year 1, we've made our $50. It's still the same thing, so I equals PRT. And we've got 1,000 times 0.05 times 3 equals 50. But then for year 2, we're taking that $50 and we're adding it to our principal. So for year 2, we've got I equals PRT, but our principal is now $1,050. Because we took the principal we had originally, the 1,000, and we added 50. Oh, sorry, these aren't 3-year periods, these are 1 year. So we have 1. So now, when we're doing this one, we're actually going to have a little bit more money. So we're not just going to get $50, we're going to get 52.50. So then year 3, we've got the 1050 plus 52.50 that we're earning interest on. And I know that this doesn't seem like much just because we're using very small numbers right now, but we've got $1,102, so $1,102.50 times our rate times our 1 year. So we're adding on all of the interest every year here. So what we're going to get is our new number is going to be $55.13. So at the end, our total amount is going to be $1,102.50 plus 55.13, and it doesn't seem like much because it really isn't much in this case, but we've actually made $7 extra compared to the first case, $7.63 compared to that first case. So it does add up over time, and the interest rates change over time. Now again, what we're going to do is we're going to use a formula. So you'd always have this formula with you. So A is our final amount. N is the number of compounding periods per year. Okay, now we're going to talk about that in a second. P is still our principal, our initial amount. R is going to be our rate. So what we're looking at here is there's a couple extra letters if you haven't noticed. So what we actually have to understand is that I is equal to R over N. And little n is equal to the number of years times big N. Okay, that's why there's extra letters. So really this formula could be written as A equals P1 plus R over N, and then years times N. Okay, so it's a little bit more confusing if you write it like that. That's why they don't, but that's what you need to understand. Okay, so we've got our compounding periods. So the number of times it collects compound per year, our final amount, our starting amount, our rate per year, our interest rate on the period, and then the total number of compounding periods. So some important information are the compounding periods. We need to know that if it says annually compounding, that's once per year. Semi-annually, twice. Monthly, 12. Quarterly, 4. Weekly, 52. And daily, 365. We pretend there's no leap years when we're doing this. Okay, so let's look at this. So Jack borrowed some money. So I'm just going to move this over here so we've got a little bit more room. So Jack borrowed some money. He borrowed $1,000 at 5% compounded annually for 3 years. Okay, so this is similar to that first question. How much did he owe in total? Okay, so we want to find our A value. We know our principal is 1,000. We know our yearly interest rate is 0.05. Our I value would be 0.05 divided by 1. The reason that it's 1 is because we're annually here. So that means that our N is 1. Number of years is 3 times 1. So we have 3. So when we plug into our formula, we've got all of this stuff already ready for us. We've got 1,000, 1 plus 0.05 to the exponent 3. And we should get exactly what we just looked at. Okay, we just did this question. Okay, but what we did was we did it the long way. We showed each individual year. Well, what if, and everyone says, well, Mr. Shaw, why can't I do it like that? Well, what if we had 50 years? You don't want to keep doing your compound interest 50 times. Okay, so we've got that. Therefore, he owed $1,157.13. Let's look at a little bit harder question, okay, because that's kind of an easy one. This one says, how much did they owe at the end of their investment, but also how much interest did she earn? It's not, sorry, how much did she owe, how much did she make? So we've got a final amount is a question mark, we don't know. We know we're investing $2,500. We have 6%, which is 0.06. Now we're compounding it semi-annually. So that means 2 times. Well, that's going to change our I value this time. So we're going to have 0.06 divided by 2. So that's going to be 0.03. And our N, we just said, was 2. So that means our years is 4 times 2, which is 8. So really you should do this N value before you do I or little n, because it's telling us our compounding period. It's telling us this number and this number. So now we can plug into our formula. And again, I'm writing it all out because it doesn't take me that long, but now I can just plug everything in so I don't make a mistake in my calculator or any of my calculations. And so now when we plug it in, I always like to do this backwards. So I didn't actually do the calculation on the last one because we knew the answer from the other question. So I would do 1 plus 0.03. I would get 1.03. Then I would do it to the exponent 8 on my calculator, which is that little X by Y button or Y to the X or the little hat. So you should get 1.26677. So I'll write that in. So we've got 2,500 times 1.26677. And then there's a couple zeros and it goes on for a while. Now all I have to do is multiply those two numbers together and I'm going to get my answer. So her final amount is $3,166.93. It says 925, so we round it to 93. So I'd write a little therefore for that. Now to find the interest, all we have to do, this is actually pretty easy, take that final amount and subtract away the initial amount. So we've got 3,16693 minus the initial amount that we had, which was $2,500. Now that's going to give me $666.93. Therefore, she made that much. So in 4 years, in this case, they've made almost $700. So it does start to make a difference. If we were to look at simple interest, just in comparison, the interest here, so if we just did I equals PRT, the interest here would be 2,500 times 0.06 times 4. So if we were looking at that, we've got 2,500 times 0.06 times 4. They would make $600. So you've almost made $70 extra by doing compound interest. And there's a worksheet for this as well.